I had the opportunity to talk with Casey Neistat yesterday. It was primarily for a collaboration on Retro Dodo, but I wanted to talk with him about the creative side, how AI is taking over search, what he thinks about work-life balance, how he gets out of creative ruts, and so on. So anyone in the creative industry, this may be of interest to you. Grab a cup of tea and listen to my interview with Casey Neistat as of the 24th of May, 2023. Enjoy.
I think that Google as a verb is something that your kids won't know. They won't be Googling anything. They'll have some sort of AI assistant that they ask questions and get answers to.
That's what you think. Go ask Bard or something.
Something like that, yeah. I think Googling is going to go away, or at least Googling as we now know it is going to become something radically different.
Interesting.
But to answer sort of the other side of your question, I think that whether it's Bard or GPT, I think it's like the greatest intellectual property theft in the history of intellectual property theft. Like ChatGPT is going to give you a very thoughtful answer with no accreditation of where it's getting that information from, and it's not thinking independently. This isn't general AI. This is artificial intelligence that's able to take sort of a portrait of everything that's ever been shared online by individuals like yourself that you put your work into, and it's able to sort of pluck what information it wants.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's just like a bamboozled cake.
Yeah, and it puts it so you get this sort of amalgam of real people's hard work and thoughts and opinions or facts or research with no accreditation to them, and it spits out this answer. And I think the end user, it's great. ChatGPT is awesome. I use it all the time.
This is the issue I have. It's a great service.
It's great, but how it got there, I think they're gonna have to answer for it at some point in time.
Yeah.
You want to know something funny?
Go on.
So Bing, which uses ChatGPT as its has an API. It uses ChatGPT for its Bing conversational search, whatever the hell they're calling it. It actually gives credits to what its sources were. It lists sources.
Okay.
How it works is you plug your inquiry in, and it runs. It pings GPT to get that GPT's API to get that information. It gives you the information from GPT, and then it takes that information and plugs it into Bing and searches it along their traditional web search methodology to come up with the most likely sources that GPT used to get that information to list as its sources.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that is, in my opinion, there are no facts behind this, but what that feels like is Microsoft sort of hedging themselves by saying, look, we're not totally stealing IP here. We're trying to give our credit.
This is what we've seen. We've seen small accreditation, maybe just a line, by X. And in terms of search, you might not know too much about the SEO industry, but there's issues where people like us are making all this content, and Google's just going, there's the accreditation. You scroll down, you go to the left, and you find them. And I think we're just in this time where it's all new technology, and Google and Microsoft just don't know how to make that accreditation fair, I think is the good use of words.
I think at the end of the day, at the end of all of this, the value of true individualism and individual thinking is only going to accelerate, because that bottom 90%, and it's really that bottom 99.99999% of people who are not really thinking individually, but they're looking to others and they're just able to regurgitate it. They're all of that thinking is going to be replaced by AI in a much more effective, much more practical way. And all it's going to leave is that layer, that very thin layer at the very, very top of people who think truly independently. And I think there's something to that that's romantic and magical and awesome. And something about that makes me want to work harder to ignore the world around me and ask myself, what's true to me? What do I care about? What do I actually want to say here? But to everybody else, including me. If I don't stay on my game, including you, if you don't stay on your game.
We got to stay on the game, Rob.
You all, I think like there's a risk of everyone just being wiped out.
Yeah. I guess, how do you manage your work-life balance? Being someone who's so creative, you've probably got a lot of things to do, a very large to-do list. How do you work that out?
I have no work-life balance.
Next question.
Like I never had any money my whole life. Like I was really, really broke, and I had kids and family, and I reached a level of sort of financial security for the first time in my life a few years ago. And I think in its most, beautiful take, it's like once you have some degree of financial security, you're able to then think more freely and less about making ends meet.
Right.
And that's what I aspire towards. But how that literally manifests is me just like watching TV all day, or like I'll go run for 3 hours, or just procrastinate and do nothing all the time, or spend like 2 weeks here in this office building a shelf.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at that. And
were you bad at that when you were trying to get?
No!
Right.
And if I was bad at that before, I would starve to death.
Yeah.
If I was bad at that before, I couldn't pay rent.
Yeah, right.
And now it's like, well, I've got some savings.
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch another episode.
Yeah, I deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like the pendulum of swinging so extreme to making a video a day for 800 days or 700 days in a row, whatever my daily vlog ended up being, and the stress that had on me, because I was doing my daily vlog at the same time I was building my startup and running my startup, although my partner did much more work in that department than I did, but still running a startup. And I had a new baby and a new wife. Like those 3-4 years of my life were so extreme that now I'm on the other side of that, and it feels like I'm on an equally level extreme place, but instead of embracing productivity and just effectiveness, I was like 19 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4 straight years with no reprieve. And like, even when I was trying to like be social and hang out with friends, I was fucking pretending.
Right, yeah.
Just focused on work up here. I'm on the pendulum has swung in the other direction, and now it's just like, all I've been thinking about since you got here is like, where do I want to ride my skateboard in New York City to get lunch today?
You know what,
Let me spend 3 hours figuring out where to get some soup. Like, that's what
because it's almost contrary to what everyone's saying. You need that work-life balance, but you've just worked your ass off for X years and now gone, you know what, I've got time. I've got time to piss about and do what I want, and I'm going to do that.
Well, you make it sound poetic and deliberate. I think I just broke myself. I'm just broken. Yeah. I'm a broken man, and I'm trying to figure it out. I mean, more seriously, we moved back to New York City in September, which means getting both of our children into new school systems and us readjusting. We've actually moved once in the city because our first apartment wasn't a great fit.
Right.
And my wife trying to go back to her business and figuring out childcare, and me getting my business back up and running. So this has been a very tumultuous year. And, we've got kids in camp. The summer's already sort of mixed up, and I'm already looking to September as being like, I'm excited to have all that noise and uncertainty behind me. Mm-hmm. And I really do want to get back to it.
Right.
And I feel like I'm getting closer to that. So I appreciate every day the luxury that I have, that I could take that time to figure it out. But most of it is just me being irresponsible.
How do you get out of a creative rut?
If you want to make some, just start doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't figure out what your next great book is that you want to write. Write a shitty book. And through that process, you're going to figure out the great one is. So for me, it's like, if I can't figure out the next video is, I don't know what I want, I'll just make a shitty video. Make it about anything. And through that process, you'll find the next thing. It's just like, it's true with anything. Like, when I get into a rut and all I'm eating is like junk food all the time, and I'm like feeling slovenly and like gross, it's like, yeah, I want to get to a place where I'm super fit and I'm running every day, but it's like, let me just do one terrible run today.
Yeah.
And I'll feel better, and then through that, I'll start to fixate on it. And then later in the day when I go to eat that donut, I'll be like, no, let me just have a sandwich. Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, like, you fixed yourself.
So you're almost just taking the first step.
Just do the work.
Yeah.
Just do the work.
Yeah.
If you're stuck, do the work. Like, can't write something, just write anything. Can't figure out what to shoot, pick up the camera, go outside. Like, don't know how to edit that video because it's too complicated in your head. Just start editing. Just start chopping it up. And through that process, you'll always find whatever it is you're looking for.
Love it. Appreciate the advice.
This was fun.
Just
fun.
do it.
Thank you for all the gifts you gave me, but you can't have this.
Damn it. What about this
I
one?
saw this inching closer to you as we were talking,
Drops
and I just
in my
want to bring it back to this side of the table.